Good morning, friends. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Roshida Dowe. If you're new here, we are going to talk about what I would do if I was investing in the stock market, starting from zero with no dollars invested. That is not my current situation. I have been investing in the stock market over 20 years. I don't know if it's around 25, maybe. Um, so I have some experience. I don't know everything, but I know a few things. I know what I do, and I know what I like to do differently, and we're going to talk about that. Um, Before we get started, as always, this is not advice. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what I would do. Also, I'm a lawyer, but I'm not your lawyer. Very important. Very important to know. Um, so yeah, I'm super excited to have this conversation with you guys because it's been an interesting few years in the stock market, and I think it's worth talking about. It's been an interesting year, child. It's been the longest year ever in the stock market. I want to talk about it. Good morning to all the members of my community who are here right now, of my YouTube membership. We are going to get together live on Zoom after this. I'll drop the link when this session is over in the YouTube community. S.A. Nikki, Fleur de Lis Living, Cheryl, Nichelle, good morning, members. Money Magic. Good morning to everybody out there. JG. JG owes me a whole conversation. She ain't hit my line. Ain't no woot woots on my phone. JG owes me a conversation because she came to Mexico City for the first World Cup game, and I heard nothing from her. Not a. So going ahead and start writing paragraphs right now, Jay. Get to writing. You can do it here or you can do it you've got the number. Please. Thank you. Thank you, Sonia. Sonia, new haircut. We were in like the Navy SEALs in and out. I need the details. What happened at the stadium? Tell me everything. Good morning, everybody. Okay, I am making myself a non-alcoholic Bellini this morning because I had peaches and they were going bad. Or I got to them before they're going bad and made some peach syrup. That's excellent. Let's talk about money. Let's talk about investing. Let's go. There's no story. Baby, I have a story from yesterday, but we're not going to start with that. Remind me to tell you why I got to go to the Apple store. First, let's get right into it. I have notes. I don't always have notes. I have notes today. If you're watching for the first time, welcome. We're starting 3 minutes into the video. Usually it's like a good 10 or 15. So you may be like, what took her so long? But this is actually very short. Welcome. All right, first things first, everything I do on YouTube is for Black women. If you are not a Black woman, you may not want to watch this video. Not that you can't, not that I'm going to say anything that wouldn't apply to you if you were a Black woman. But Black women have a certain, generalization. Black women have certain characteristics that make what I'm saying relevant to them and not to other people. As in, when we talk about investing today, I'm going to talk about some moral guidelines. And a lot of y'all don't have the same moral compass as Black women, and that's why this conversation probably isn't for you. So, hi friends. Hi ladies. This one's for you, as always. I want you to live a rich life, right? I want you to live a joyful, abundant life. And part of that is, unfortunately, in the hellscape we live in, having money. So we're going to talk about having money, what you can do with your money, how to invest. Good morning. Good morning. See, my people here, they know what I'm going to say. This is a Black woman. Yes, morals, no SpaceX. We're going to get there. We are going to get there. I want to talk about investing from zero, right? Investing from zero means that you might have no money to invest at all right now, or it might mean that you have no money invested right now. Either way, we're going to cover both of those in the conversation. Let's see. I don't want to invest in my own oppression. When I say I'm talking to Black women, I'm talking to Black women. Absolutely. Absolutely. Couldn't be me. All right, we're going to get there, friends. First, I'm starting from scratch. I want to say that this is all very emotional, right? Investing, anything to do with money, is part science, part art, part emotions, right? You're bringing your full self, who you are, every decision you make into this process. So I'm going to say things you are not going to agree with. And you're going to be like, that is trash advice for you. Remember, this video is about what I would do, right? I'm going to make some generalizations. I'm going to talk to all of you, but this video isn't about the one right way to do anything, because there is no right way, right? I can only tell you what I would do based on who I am as a human. I can tell you what other people do based on who they are as humans, but I can't tell you this is the right choice for you, because we're bringing so much of who we are into this conversation. All right. The first thing I want you to do, friends, if you're considering investing, is to figure out your current financial landscape, right? What does that mean? Do you have debts? Do you have savings? Do you have high interest debts? What's going on? All right, first, before we get started there, if you're a person who hasn't been investing and wants to invest, let me know in the chat so I know who I'm talking to. If you're in the comments after this has been live, let me know in the comments. This is me. I want to start investing, right? Let me know, because I don't know I know we talk about moving abroad a lot. So I know who here hasn't moved abroad and who wants to move abroad, but I don't really have a good sense of who we are collectively as investors. And I'd love to know. So drop it. Hey, Choco Baby Flakes. All right. Drop Knowledge Bomb says, me, I have a 401k, but I want to do more beyond my employer. Great. We're talking about that too. Andy Watson says, I want to start investing, but there's so much misinformation out there. Yes, and I think that I'm actually going to put a star here and come back to this. Tall TC says, I'm struggling to know how much to invest in my retirement accounts versus brokerage accounts. We're going to get back to it. And then I saw something from Dropping Knowledge Bombs earlier that said, oh, I'd like to know how you got liquid cash to do sabbatical and travel the world. We're not going to get a lot into that, but we'll talk about that. Ooh, that's a good comment. All right. Want to invest more for retirement? This market gives me fluxes, girl. New investor besides 401k? Yes. Kay says, I've been dabbling, took a Adelia's class a while back and just started. Slow progress, but progress. Adelia, if you're here, can you drop the link to your Get Started Investing course? I know I have it somewhere. I don't know when it's happening next. Let us know when it's happening next. Get Started Investing. Nope, that didn't do it. Okay, let's see. And I normally only hear of extreme success stories and a few cautionary tales. Yes. Yes. Okay, so let's get into it. We talked about I mentioned earlier, getting a good idea of what your current financial landscape is, right? That should tell you how much money you should know how much money you're spending, how much money you're getting in, how much money you're spending, how much money you have for discretionary things, and how much money you can invest if you want to. Investing has changed over the years. It used to be, you needed tens of thousands of dollars to do it, thousands, then went down to thousands of dollars. Now you can get started. You can buy an ETF for $1, right? So the barrier to entry is much lower than it used to be. If we're talking about investing in the stock market, the barrier to entry is much lower, right? So sometimes the barrier to entry is just information. That's one of the reasons I wanted to have this conversation. It's not necessarily that you don't have any money that you could start investing with. It is too many choices. Whoa. It's too many choices. And then my neighbor went broke investing in the 90s, right? We're getting there. Okay. You get a good idea of your financial landscape. You know how much money you have to invest in. Let me know in the comments. Do you know how much money you could invest each month if you wanted? If you were choosing to invest right now, as of today, you don't have to tell me the number. As of today, you're an investor. How much money can you invest each month? My boss is in the comments, and she reminded me that Adelia is teaching in Exodus ASAP this week, this Thursday. She's teaching a retirement money roadmap. So if you want to know what to do with your money as you approach retirement or as you plan for retirement, what changes you should be doing, what tweaks you could do to better manage your money, whether that's investments or savings in retirement, Adelia is going to be coaching on that on Thursday, I believe at either 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern time in Exodus ASAP. And Sadra's teaching beginner investing next week. Okay. Thank you. All right, y'all are giving me your investment budgets. My friend told me there's about 6 figures investing in crypto. Okay, so a couple years ago, I had a Black female crypto expert on the channel, and we talked about investing in crypto and how, just to kind of get educated. And I learned a lot from her, and I invested in some Bitcoin. Let's talk about what happened there, because I actually don't know. It was, come on. Is this gonna work? Can I get in? Nope. Let's see if I can do this on my computer. If not, I'll start that and come back. I can't get to it now. You know what? Y'all can't be distracting me with other things. You know how I get distracted, and then it's something else shiny happening. Cancel. That's not what I want to do. Okay. I got it in PayPal. Let's see. Let's come here. It'll give me a percent. My total return in crypto since, when did I buy this? Is it going to give me any activities? It has to be at least 3 years. Is down 16%. Oh no, I bought Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin is up 14% over that time. The one that's down the most is Litecoin, down 82%. Bitcoin Cash down 67%. Ethereum down 61%. Like I said, I didn't invest enough money that I'm upset about this. But clearly all of my, down to 82%. I wanted to try it out to see what all the girls were talking about. Everybody was loving crypto. Just one of those coins is down 82%. That's not me saying that you can't make money in crypto. That's me saying I have not made money in crypto. That's me saying it wasn't me. So I'm not going to talk about investing in crypto here because clearly I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Let's see if I can tell you when I bought that stuff, just to give you an idea. No, it's not going to tell me. It's too old. Let's see. Can I filter by all time? Filter by last 90 days, last year? No. Okay, never mind. It's not going to tell me right now. I think it was like 3 years ago. One thing I will say about crypto is before I even check these balances, I am wary of the idea of the US government allowing crypto to be in retirement plans. I am weary of your retirement advisor for the company you work for being allowed to invest in crypto and moving some of your retirement funds into crypto. And that's where I would pay attention to crypto at this current moment. There's a man who lives in a White House, and he is doing everything he can to create financial instability and general uncertainty. And that's one of the reasons the stock market has been so crazy. Because what is he going to do next? My current planning timeline, I'm living in a time of maximum uncertainty. This is my planning stages. We're going to talk about planning stages later, but I'm just going to give this to you real quick. My planning stages are I'm planning right now for maximum uncertainty in this time. Until that man leaves the White House and goes to the hot place. And then I think I need a window of a year or two to see what happens next, right? We're in a time of maximum uncertainty. What comes after this maximum uncertainty might be some maximum more uncertainty, right? I don't know. I don't know if things are, I'm not saying things are going to get better or worse. I'm saying, as far as money is concerned, certainty is what I really care about, right? And with the vast uncertainty of a man who is asleep at the wheel and then throwing darts at a board when he's awake to figure out what the next policy choice is going to be, I'm living in I need to prepare for not knowing what's going to happen. And I'll tell you how I do that. And then a longer window when we figure out what's next, right? We know what's next. We know what they want to be next, right? Like they would like that to roll back every right. Everybody will all be slaves. We'll all be enslaved if they get a choice. That's the goal. But short of that, right? What does that window look like? I don't know. Certainty and stability, Erica Gennaro TV says, yes. And because there is less certainty and stability than there used to be in the past, right? In the old days, I'm doing things a little bit differently. And I'll talk about that. Let's see. Absolutely not. I don't want my retirement funds in crypto, please. And I think some of that is, and I think those of you who are my age or older, I like the things I know. Like there are people who love crypto. You can invest in that outside of getting all of us sucked in, right? We've been alive long enough to see pension funds disappear, right? pension funds be completely wiped out. And I think that opening up these retirement funds and accounts to other types of investments is not going to lead to more stability. It's going to lead to less, right? And if you're someone who could not survive their pension being wiped out, you should be advocating for investing in crypto on your own and not with the fund, the grand fund that needs to take you and your current or former coworkers into the future, right? All right. Getting a good idea of your financial landscape also, like I said, requires getting a good idea of what the current financial landscape is right now, right? So for me, like I said, because there is more uncertainty than I am used to, I am shifting. I hadn't had an emergency fund for like 5 years. I had liquid investments that I could use if I wanted to, but actual like money in a savings account that I could use for an emergency fund, I have one now. I have one now because of the uncertainty, because I don't know what's going to happen, because at some point I might need to get some cash and run. I don't know, right? And so that is one way that my money management has changed over the past, it might even be like 10 years, right? I haven't had an emergency fund in a long time. But I'm telling you now, it's a good time to have an emergency fund. If you don't have one, it's a good time to have an emergency fund, to start one, right? So my idea would be to, if I was starting from zero, to save first, right? I would open a high yield savings account. You can do those at a lot of places. I have one at Vanguard right now, but I think is paying like 3.5%. It's not the highest. A lot of the reasons that people don't get started is because they are looking for and this is in a lot of categories of life, they're looking for the best option, right? They are looking for the number one, this is the right, there's only one right choice. I must find the right choice. This is it. Yay. Right? I'm not that person. And I don't advocate being that person. I advocate making a good choice, right? Opening a high yield savings account anywhere. Getting regularly above 2%, a good choice, right? Yes, there may be an account somewhere else in the world that would give you more interest, but that's going to change. They all fluctuate. Sometimes Fidelity's give me more money, a higher interest rate. Sometimes Vanguard's giving me a higher interest rate. It all changes, right? Just open one, put money in there. I think, especially around money, if you try to maximize every single decision, you won't make decisions. And not making decisions means you're not in the market and you're not making money, right? Erica Gennaro TV says PNC is paying 3.25. Get on down to PNC, right? All right, what's a good amount for an emergency fund? I can't tell you, right? This is about knowing your financial landscape. For some people, that's going to be 3 months. For some people, it's going to be 6 months. My current emergency fund is bare bones spending, only like food and shelter, about 2 years. Living the life I live now, maybe I think that's like 3 months. I think that if I try to spend my emergency fund on who I am it'll last 6 months. It'll last 6 months. If I tried to spend it on who I am today, it would last 6 months. But bare bones, it could take me 2 years, right? I was trying to live, I told you guys this a couple weeks ago, I was trying to live on my emergency fund budget for this month. By like I want to say by the 9th, I was over my food budget. I said, well, I can't multiply this fund by this line item by 3 and still stay within my emergency budget. So now I need to recognize I cannot currently, I do not live on my monthly budget, my monthly emergency budget. So some people are going to be really comfortable at 1 month. Some people are going to be really comfortable at 3 months. You need to decide what amount of emergency fund gives you some breathing room. Makes you feel like, I got it. If you feel like I got it, that's all you need, right? You know how much you spend each month, but if you don't, you need to find out. Track your spending. I believe in tracking spending more than I believe in budgeting, because you really need to know where the money's going, more than like trying to force yourself into numbers, unless you're forcing yourself into numbers with a long-term goal. Oh, Life of Luxury and Ease, says Marcus by Goldman Sachs, pays 3.5%. Go ahead. Lady Sarita says, go ahead and like the video, please. Like the video. You're watching, you're learning, like the video. Yeah, it does not matter where you do a high yield savings fund, say high yield savings account. Just, a reputable bank. You'll hear all the names over and over again in here. It's fine. All right. Okay, so first, we're going to get a good idea of your financial landscape. I think that saving first is a good idea. Then I think paying off high interest debt. Not all debt. Baby, if you got a 2% mortgage, go ahead and keep that. There's a little calculation I do in my head about debt. I don't have any debt, and I haven't had any debt for a long time besides credit card debt that I charge I'm gonna get them points. I'm gonna get those points. So I charge everything on a credit card and I pay it off every Friday. Pay off all my cards every Friday. So I have debt for like a week, maybe a couple weeks if I forget. If I'm outside traveling and I forget, or I did what I did through Europe and bought everything I could see. I got home like, what are these numbers? But then, I got caught up. If your credit card is charging you, I think that for your investments, you should have a percentage goal. How much money do I want my investments to, what percentage return do I want on my investments, right? Here's another number. What percentage return do I want? And what percentage return do I expect, right? What percentage return is it safe to expect on my investments? That's going to tell you a couple different things. If you have high interest debt, is your high interest debt higher than the percent you expect to return? If so, it makes sense to pay off the debt first, right? I wouldn't carry credit card debt that would be charging me 18, 20, I don't even know what they're charging these days, percent interest while hoping to make 10% on an investment. I wouldn't do that because those numbers don't make sense to me. I'm not saying you shouldn't or you can't. I'm saying I wouldn't. I wouldn't be paying let's call it 18% on a debt, on a loan, on credit card, whatever, right? And then putting money, instead of putting all the money over here, putting money over here where I think I might make 10%. Them numbers don't work for me. So I think it's important to know how much money you think you'd like the investment to make, and you think the investment might make. 2 important numbers. And that'll help you figure out what debt you should be paying off before you start investing. Right? That's That is my approach to that. It's pretty simple. I've also been, the main place I invest is also a place I've been investing for 20 years. So I have a good idea of how much money I can expect to get from it. I'll give you specific numbers later. Okay. Next. Probably controversial. Invest in yourself, right? Investing in the stock market, in anything, in any assets is good. Is there a place that you've really been wanting to invest in yourself? Are you one certificate away from a promotion or a raise? Not a promotion. We don't care about promotions. Talk about raises. Listen, are you one promotion, one certificate away from a raise? Right? If so, does it make sense to invest in that certificate now, get the raise, and have more money to invest? Right? Are you one BBL away from a rich man on a yacht and a lifetime of alimony? Or an inheritance? Maybe it's BBL time. I don't know. I don't care. Invest, like, if you have a goal that makes sense logically, right? It should be logical. And that investment is something that you can capitalize on in the short term to get to more money for greater investments. Do you, boo? We don't judge here. I mean, I do judge, but not a lot. Not a lot. You listen. You might be so close to the thing. Okay. When we talk about investing, a couple of things that are really important are figuring out your risk tolerance, right? How much risk can you live with? This goes back to the emotions of it all. And then your investing timeline. We're going to talk about those two things. But first, I want to talk about, generally in this conversation, I'm going to be talking about liquid assets. And the reason I want to talk about liquid assets, like investments in the stock and brokerage accounts, not retirement accounts, specifically brokerage accounts that are accessible, that you're investing in post-tax, but they are taxable accounts. Is that I think that in this time of uncertainty, you may want to have more access to money than you would if you invested in something like real estate. Also, friends, a lot has changed in our society over the past 20, 30 years, as far as how we view money, how we view each other, how we support each other, and what our individual values are. And I think our individual values have gotten more individual, more individualistic, and that hasn't necessarily been a good thing. I was a person who invested in real estate and flipped a house and made money 15 years ago. 15, who knows? 10, let's call it 10 years ago. 10 years ago. At this point in my life, I'm not interested in investing in real estate because investing in real estate generally, this is not a judgment. Investing in real estate has become a way that wealth is being hoarded and people are being harmed. I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I know a landlord is about to come in, probably the replay comments, and tell me I'm wrong, I'm terrible, I know nothing. That's fine. Right? You may be an ethical landlord. There are ethical landlords out there. But most of what we're seeing when we're seeing investing in real estate on the macro scale, we are seeing huge corporations come in and hoard housing and force incredibly incredibly overpriced housing expenses, which lead to more people being homeless. And as long as there is a home for everyone on this planet should have a home. So real estate isn't a way that I am interested in making money in 2026. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm saying that for me, I don't want it, right? I don't want it. I don't want to be associated with the harm that is happening. Because it's, even if you're not creating harm, I think it's really hard to acknowledge that harm is not happening, right? You might be, like I said, an ethical landlord. You might be making good choices for the community at large and yourself, right? I believe you should be able to make money. So if this is how you're making money, you're making good choices, I love it. But I don't want to be part of the collective harm that's happening to people. Okay. The other thing is, if I need to put some money in a bag and run, I can't do that if I have real estate. How do I do that? How quickly do I need to sell? And if I need to sell quickly, am I losing a lot of money? Right? I don't know. So 2 reasons why I'm not into real estate right now. You do what you want. The other thing is, I know a lot of times we have this conversation, people are like, invest in gold. You got to invest in gold is the way. You got to invest in gold. You got to buy gold and have a gold reserve. You got to get the gold in your hand. You need the gold. When shit hits the fan, I don't want to be the gold lady. I don't listen, because if you're the gold lady, you also got to be the gun lady. Because if someone's coming for the gold, like if they know that you're in the back soldering off or chiseling off or whatever you got to do to get to the gold, to go buy the food or do the whatever or pay for, someone's coming for that gold, right? I don't want to be the gold lady. I don't want people to be like, yeah, she showed up with gold yesterday. She probably got more. In my wild, wild west scenario of when things hit the fan, I don't want to be the gold lady. And that is not my full preparation, right? I have been preparing for 20 years for the status quo, right? I retire, I live somewhere nice, I have a great lifestyle, whatever. Not the world might not exist because AI data centers are using up all the water. And climate change, which no one seems to care about, is impacting our land so much, but we're only going to have this much land, no clean water, and we're going to be like fighting each other to the death to survive. There's going to be no food because screwworm and something new every week. That is not the life I was preparing for when I started investing. It's the life I have to be aware of now, right? But like I said, don't want to be the gold lady, don't want to be the gun lady. It's not for me personally. All right. So that's why most of this conversation is, there's other places you can invest too. Art, coins, watches. I like money. I like pressing sell and money coming to my account. And that's it, right? Very clear what the value of this is. It's worth the value of the US dollar is worth the US dollar. Could be worth 0 in 2 years, but it is worth right now what it's worth. Okay. All right, so we talked about identifying your risk tolerance and your investing timeline. And we're going to use those to, I think we identify our investing. Oh, no, wait. Let me back up a second. I'm too far ahead of my notes. Before we go any further, do you have tax advantage accounts through your employer, right? Do you have a health savings account? Do you have a 401k? And I'm talk about the main problem I see with people and their 401ks. They start working, they get a little 401k, they get the forms, it's 1,000 pieces of paper. Maybe it's all online now, I don't know. I ain't done this in a while. They get the piece of paper, they fill it out, they start putting money in. Every paycheck, they put money in, but they haven't picked any investments within that 401k. So their 401k is just a bucket of money sitting there, not growing, not doing anything, not actually invested. It's just a bucket of money sitting there. If you have an account at your employer, through your employer, it's probably at Fidelity or Schwab or something else like that, but you got it through this employer or a former employer, please go into that account and make sure the money is invested in something you know what it's invested in and you like what it's invested in. Also, friends, this is a hard one. It's a hard one because it hit me hard. A lot of times we leave a job and we're like, fuck that job. I have to block this out. I have to block this out of my memory person. It never happened, right? Which meant for me, I left a 401k sitting at a employer in an employer's managed account, the brokerage account, the 401k was there. I let it sitting there. Between the amount of fees I was paying on that account and not being invested in what I wanted to invest in, I was making no money in that account for years. I rolled it over to an account that I currently manage, and within the first year, I made more money on that account than I'd made in like the 5 years it was sitting there without me looking at it. So if you have a investment account with a former employer, check to see what your options are. Can you roll it over to a brokerage where you manage it, right? You pay less fees. You'll probably pay less fees. Can you take control over it? Leaving it sitting there when it doesn't have to be there. Yes, April. You need to roll over a previous employer. Yes. You don't work there anymore, and that money's not working for you when it's sitting with your previous employer, right? Listen, when you start working there, especially if there's an employee match, invest. Get that employee match. The minute that employee match is over, you don't know them, they don't know you, right? Get out of there. Get out of there. Get your money. Take control of your money. You're not getting that a match anymore. Why pay those fees? Why pay those fees? So 2 things to do this week. Make sure that if you have a current employer with a any kind of investment account, 3 things. If you're not getting the match, go ahead and invest up to the match. Even if from the things I said before about investment account and high interest debt, you haven't hit those yet, still get the match. That's free money. Get the match. 2, roll if you have a current 401k, 403b, whatever it is. Make sure you're actually invested inside of that account in things you want to be invested in. If you don't know what you want to be invested in, quick research, pick something. Spend no more than an hour on research and pick something. Right? 3, so we said, get the match. We said, make sure you're actually invested and you're not just have the money sitting there, because when you go in and see that for 10 years, your money was just sitting there like it was a savings account, except you weren't even getting that 0.02 interest, you're gonna be mad, right? So make sure you actually have selected investments inside of that account. 3, You want to know if you have an old account from an old employer, don't leave it sitting with them. Unless you see that it's doing exactly what you want, the fees work, everything works for you, roll it over to something new. Like Yagami said, this is not advice, not advice, not advice. This is just what I would do. This is what I would do. And I have done. Okay. I don't contribute with my current employer because they do not match. I wouldn't either. I have not experienced an employer account, retirement account, with lower fees than I could find on the market. So if they're not going to match, why am I paying these fees over here? What are you doing? I've never experienced an employer account with access to funds that I couldn't find elsewhere. Okay. I wonder if I sell 401k with Department of Veteran Affairs. Go find out. Snatch that. That's your money. And who knows what the Department of Veterans Affairs is invested in right now. All right. After I left, my former employer began increasing the amount of fees they charge for managing the account. If they're not matching, if the matching isn't happening, why leave your money there? Time to take control. Bougie Stocks Lover Doc says you should still contribute even if they don't match. It's a nice way to lower taxes. Please address this, remind people of this. That's a choice, right? Remember I said we're all going to have different choices. It's not a choice I would make, right? You can still contribute if they don't match. Are the taxes you're going to save in the future worth the fees you're paying now? I don't know. For me, it's not a choice. I don't want my money with my employer unless it has to be. And for me, the only reason it has to be is if it matches. You can still contribute. This is not a choice I would make. It is not, I'm not saying it's a bad choice. But these employers need to be matching. All right. Back to identify your risk tolerance, identifying your investing timeline. We're going to talk about that here now. Some people are going to be very risk averse. Some people are going to be very risk tolerant. I'm very risk tolerant because I have a long investing timeline. I've always viewed my investing timeline as really, really long. I started investing in my 20s. I was investing for my 60s when I started investing in my 20s, right? And because of that, I'm okay when the market fluctuates. I'm okay. If I had a shorter timeline, I would be less okay. If I was a different human inside, I would be less okay with fluctuations. That's not a judgment. That's just saying we're all built different, right? We're all built different. I have been investing for so long that I've seen the market go up. 2018, I was like, is this going to go to zero? What are we doing? I haven't had a year like this before. What are we doing here? This is very uncomfortable. 2018 was also the first year, but I quit my job and I was traveling the world for a year. So doing that, not having an income for the first time since I was 12. I was 38, and for the first time since I was 12, I did not have an income. And the stock market was tanking. I was like, what are we doing? But I am a set it and forget it person, right? So that money was in there, and I was like, if it goes to zero, it goes to zero. I'm not taking it out. I'm gonna let it ride, whatever. I let it ride. It has done incredibly well. I have a number for you guys about what So luxury bucket list says the market has hurt my feelings these past 2 weeks. Yes. Pause. You need to know what kind of investor you are. The market does not hurt my feelings over a 2 week time because I'm not an active investor. I am a set it, the luxury bucket list is an active investor. I am a set it and forget it person. So 2 weeks means nothing to me, right? I live in a time of more uncertainty than I have ever experienced before in my life. These few years have led to more financial uncertainty than I'm used to because the rules are changing every day. Who's a citizen changes every day. Who is a human changes every day. I don't know, right? I don't know. So what hurts my feelings is 2 years in the stock market. If the stock market starts going crazy for 2 years, that hurts my feelings. 2 weeks, I haven't even checked. I don't even know what's going on. I'm not paying attention. I'm paying attention, but not enough to actually change anything. I don't think in the history of being invested, I've ever made a change based on what the stock market is doing. I have invested in something new, or I have changed where my investments go, but I've never sold something because of what the stock market is doing. I told you this is vibes over here. It's going to do what it does. I think I've made good choices for my future. That's all I can do. All right. Lady Saria once again says, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, hit the like button. I think you want more of this. And this is not advice. Okay. Let's see. Part of knowing your investment timeline is knowing what you're investing for, right? So for your investments, I think it's really important that you have a specific goal. My specific goal has always been as far as I can remember, it's always been to retire at a lifestyle that I like. Do I have a number for that? Yes. Does the number get bigger every year? Yes. If I had to retire today, would I be okay? Yes. Do I want more money? Yes. I am a Taurus. I like nice things. I went to law school when I was 23 because I realized I could not afford the life I wanted to live as a part-time receptionist. There was no higher calling. There was nothing else. I knew I was expensive. Literally, that's it. I know I cost a lot of money. And so I should start trying to figure out how to make some money because I'm not making money now. So I like money. I like spending money. I like multiplying money, right? You give me a stack of cash, I'm either going to multiply it or I'm going to blow it. I'm going to have a great time blowing it though. It's going to be amazing. I spend money, and so I like money, and so I make sure I do things that get me money. And one of the things I rely on to get me money is the stock market. It's investing, and it's simple, set it and forget it investing. Over the last 10 years, because that's what Vanguard is going to give me. They give you 10 years of information, and I'm investing with them maybe 20 years. I don't know. I have a screenshot somewhere, but it'll come up in a minute if I just press this button. Over the last 10 years, my Wi-Fi is desperately slow. My in return, my performance for my retirement and non-retirement accounts. And keep in mind that my non-retirement accounts include a newish savings, high yield savings account. So it's not going to give me, does it include that? I actually don't know if it includes that in there. Let me double check and tell you for sure. View all performance. The rate of return for the money it's considering, which are non-retirements. Let's see, accounts. Yes, it isn't considering my savings accounts. This is important. For my savings accounts and my investment accounts. So my savings accounts, like I said, sometimes it's 2%, sometimes it's 1%, sometimes it's 3%. So this lowers the number. But I'm at a rate of return over the past 10 years of 14.6%. Right? 14.6 over 10%. They say like 9% is good in the stock market, 7% is good. I'm at 14.6. I'm feeling good. And my without the savings accounts in my retirement accounts, I'm over 15% of rate of return. Now, could it be better? Yes. Could it be worse? Yes. I am not a maximizer, right? I am not I spend 3 hours every week looking to make changes in my account. I'm not doing that. I'm just set it, forget it. 14%, almost 15%. Great. Love it. Thank you. And that's, like I said, over the last 10 years. We talked about having a goal for the amount of money you wanted to make. If I had a debt that was larger than 15%, I would be paying that, right? Because it's larger than what I'm actually getting in. If I had a debt that was lower, I might not. 14.6% makes me happy. I'm happy with that. My goal, so I said have a number of what you're actually doing and a goal. I'd love it to be 20. I'd love it to be 20. Why is it not 20? Why is it not 20%? The conversation, so I'm saying these numbers, there's no real information you get from these numbers besides what my personal rate of return is. But I'm saying these numbers because to create a realistic view of what one person has earned. If you want 100%, if you're like, I need 100% return, maybe it's probably not the stock market. It could be if you pick the right, like one magic stock, but picking one magic stock is like winning the lotto, right? It could be 100%. It could be 1,000% with the right stock. I'm not doing that. I'm not. I'm happy-ish with 15. I'd love it to be 20. I'm happy with 15 and I move, right? That's one of the ways I think about my goals, right? I invest in the stock market and I invest in funds in the stock market because I know what I want to get and I'm comfortable that I can get around there in the stock market, right? If you want 200%, maybe it is real estate for you. These are things you have to figure out. You're not gonna hit 200% investing in index funds or ETFs. It's not gonna happen, right? If you pick the next Google, maybe. I'm comfortable not picking the next Google because in order to pick the next Google, you picked a lot of losers along the way. And I don't want to do that. Because I do not want my money going to zero, right? I'm comfortable at 15%. Let's go. I don't want to be a zero. Not interested. It's not for me. All right. So I have decided my goal is a comfortable retirement. When is that retirement going? I'm 47 now. Is that retirement going to happen at 50? Or is it going to happen at 60? Or is it going to happen at 47? We don't know. Stay tuned for the next episode, girl. We do not know. But because I have been planning for retirement, this is roundabout, this is detailed information about me. And because I did not know what retirement would look like or what age it would look like, I have money in retirement accounts, right, that are set up, tax advantage retirement accounts, and I have money in a regular brokerage account, so that if I want to retire at 47, I have some money that I have access to. Because I was really specific about what this money was for, and so I planned the money, right, around when I would be able to access it, etc. What I wanted it for, when I'd be able to access it. Do you want money for a bucket list vacation? If that bucket list vacation is in a year, it may not be time to invest in the stock market, because who knows what's going to happen next year, because Mr. Uncertainty is still alive. If your bucket list vacation is in 10 years, maybe, right? Maybe that's a timeline in which you are comfortable being in the market, right? So when do you need the money? What is it for? What percentage return rate are you trying to hit, right? I like 15, I'd love 20. I'm gonna tell you why I'm probably not gonna hit 20. Next, we get to why I probably won't hit 20. And that is, I am a values-based investor. For me, I want to make sure that I'm investing my money in places that are doing good things, right? I want to invest my money in places that are not harming the environment. We already talked about real estate. That's a choice I make for myself. It is not a choice I made for myself 20 years ago when I started investing, right? When I started investing, I think it was somewhere between 2004 and 2006. When I started investing, we knew there were companies that weren't like great, but we didn't realize how bad. The difference between 20 years ago is that the companies, there's more evidence that we can see, right? And the companies are worse, right? We are really talking about some really horrid things that you could invest in. And Moy says, I'm not investing in prison stocks. One of the categories. Right. Now, that's a choice you can make. You can choose to invest in your values, or you can choose to invest in the bottom line and just say, I don't care about nothing but the dollars. I'm not going to judge you for either choice. As a Black woman, if you're still watching this, you probably are still a Black woman. If you're not a Black woman, let me know in the comments. Say hi. As a Black woman, we tend to start with our values, right? I'm not saying you should not start with the money. I'm saying that if I choose in my day-to-day life not to shop from a certain company, then I don't want to invest in it either. I don't shop at Amazon. I don't want to invest in Amazon. Unfortunately, over the last 20 years, dang near every index fund on the market, every one that's doing really well is invested in Amazon. Being perfectly transparent, I have not divested into things I have invested in the past. I'm still invested in those things. I'm just making different investment choices moving forward. Part of that is set it and forget it. Part of that is it's a lot of thought. I don't want to do all that thought. So it's Brown Sugar Baby says it's hard to control who you invest in with index funds. It is. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to start there so I don't forget. It's really hard. Like the baddies, the big baddies in the world are in every index fund. Like it's hard to find index funds without them. You can do it, but it is hard to find index funds without them. So like I said, when I started investing, it wasn't this big of an issue, either because we didn't know these companies were so terrible, or they've gotten worse over time. And I think it's both. So what are your investing values, right? What are the things you want to invest in? What are the things you don't want to invest in? I have a long list of things I don't want to invest in. Prisons, Amazon. I don't like investing in Walmart. Meta. I don't mind as much. I don't love Google and Apple. I don't mind them as much as like the Meta, Tesla. SpaceX can go to hell on all the hells. Pause. Kira says I definitely want to invest in something environmentally friendly. And that's a good choice. You're not going to make as much money as you would if you were. I cannot guarantee the future. But the goodies don't make as much money as the baddies. It's just general. It's just how our world has been working, right? It's just how our world is working. Miss Sin says, is it unrealistic to believe you can invest in companies or products that are not corrupt? It's not unrealistic, but you're not going to be maximizing the money you could make. Does that make it a good choice or a bad choice for you? Only you can tell. I don't know. Let me see. I had a note for myself. All of the different investment platforms that have funds, Fidelity, Vanguard, Schwab, they will tell you which ones are like socially responsible. And if you go to I'm gonna drop a link. It's finance.yahoo.yahoo. Finance.yahoo.com. Let me make sure this is where I want to send you guys. No, that's not what I wanted. If you paid attention, you would know that's not what I wanted. Okay. Yeah, if you go to finance.yahoo.com, but it's just like, it's a very busy page. Ignore the busyness of the page. It's a little too much. It's got a lot going on. I don't like it personally, but it's going to get us to where I want us to go. So I dropped the link to finance.yahoo.com. This is not an ad for Yahoo. It's just a place to get information. If you search for news, tickers, or companies up top, at the very top line, if you put in, someone dropped a link to, the letters of a fund they like, or no, any fund. Let's see if I can share my screen while we do this. Because we're going to talk about how to see what you're invested in. Share screen. Someone give me a fund you like. Okay, can you guys see this? Sharing my screen? I think someone said QQQI, NASDAQ 100 High Income ETF. Okay, so we just type that in the top bar, search bar. It's going to give us a chart. We're ignoring all of this. For our purposes, we're only going to holdings. We're going to go to holdings here. And in holdings, it's going to tell me the companies it's invested in. Most companies that are invested in highly in technology are going to look like this: NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, Tesla, over and over and over again. That's just a real quick way to see, is there a stock that I don't want to deal with that's in their top 10? If it's or not, now, if we went to, hold on a second, I can't see on this display. uh, uh, if we went to, I guess, the NASDAQ site, we could see every listing in here, right? I don't need, sometimes I want to see every listing, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm just like, tell me who your top 10 are, tell me who your top 20 are, right? And I can know whether this is something I'm interested in or not. Technology funds in the US have been doing really well for the past 15 years, I'd say. And so a lot of the top 100, top 500, top 10, top 25 are all going to look like this. It sucks, but it is what it is. All right. So it's not unrealistic to find accounts where you're not going to hate everything. But those aren't the ones that are going to be showing up. If you did a search right now of what should I invest in, most investors out there don't give a damn about anything. They're like, private prisons, load me up. AI, let's go, right? Like SpaceX, winner, right? And that's why I was very clear about this conversation. This is a conversation that is going to be steered by my morals, which I think are reflected in a lot of other people's as well. All right, I'm gonna go something else. Monique said ICLN. I don't know what that is. So let's go over there and search for ICLN. iShares Global Clean Energy Fund. Let's see what it's holding. Clean energy. Okay. Oh, look at this solar power. You can see here, but this is not an American company. This is going to be a ETF that has companies from around the world. As I am increasing right now my investments that are not American companies. A lot of the baddies are American. Not all the baddies. A lot of the baddies are American. And so in order to feel good about investing, I have been investing outside of the US a lot more than before. Before, when I started investing, I was like, where am I going to get the most money from? Where the money at? Where the money at? That's where I want to be. And now I do not want to be. I don't want to be only where the money resides, right? I want to be where the money resides, but not just money. We got to have some choices, right? So that's a really good way to kind of just get a really good quick glance of what is in these index funds or ETFs. Let's see. Coffee Brown says no investing in evil. I'm not going that far because I think that if you don't care, you don't care. And maybe if you don't care, it's not evil to you. Maybe that's the way it all makes sense in this world. If you don't care about the morals of what a company does, of how it treats its employees, of how it treats the planet, if you don't care about that, then maybe it's just not evil. And so, evil is relative in that context. I'm never going to get mad at a Black woman for being where the money resides. I was there. I don't want to be there anymore. Right? I don't want to be invested in things that hurt other people, that I know hurt other people, that make their money by hurting other people. I don't want to do that. I can't tell you that that's the right choice for you. I'm not here to moralize. That's another day. Today I'm saying you have to make choices based on what you want. You can make really great choices in the stock market, really moral choices in the stock market that align with your values. Aligning with your values is probably going to make you a little less money than aligning with the cash, right? Aligning with the axis of evil is where the money is right now. It's 2026, right? It's 2026. The axis of evil is where the money is. And they're doing more things to make sure that that is where the money is, right? They're changing rules to make sure that Elon has the biggest IPO ever, even though everybody knows it's a lie, it's a fraud. But here we are. I'm not here to tell you you're right or you're wrong. I'm here to give you more information, right? Something to consider when you are considering investing, especially if you're investing in the stock market, is how do you want to receive the benefits of your investments? Do you want to invest in dividend funds or dividend ETFs, or do you want to see your investment increase, right? The egg, the nest egg, do you want to see that increase over time, or do you want to get paid out at a certain interval, right? That helps you figure out what to invest in. I kind of skipped over index funds, but let me go back for a second. An index fund is considered a group of stocks, right? Someone has put a group of stocks together and called it an index fund. And you can invest in that. Index funds and ETFs, generally the same. For our purposes, I'm not going too deep into this. It's investing in a group of funds. Typically, that has historically been safer than investing in one stock. A lot of times when we hear, someone said earlier that they hear success stories and like big failures. I don't remember where that was. And a lot of times when we hear big failures, it's someone investing in one stock. And she looked like a winner. Baby, that horse was going to run, and then she broke her leg on the last lap. Had to put that good horse down. Things change over time, right? The appetite for certain companies can change. We've seen bubbles burst. That AI bubble gonna burst, dog. Don't know when, but it's gonna happen. My best performing index fund over the past, I would say 10 years, is a technology fund. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Because you know what she's invested in. It's terrible. It's the big terribles. It is absolutely the big terribles, but it does really well. I've been invested in it since at least 2018. Like I said, I have not divested from it, but I don't put money there. I put money in other places. My new money goes to better places. That is how I'm choosing to handle this. Someone is going to scream at me and tell me I'm a hypocrite for not divesting from terrible funds. Sure. Okay. I'm okay with that. I want to do all that work. Right? Monique says, I just looked at the 10-year return of one of my accounts. I do not have my eye on the prize. We only know what we can only do what we can do today, right? Like we only know what we know today. We can only do what we can do. You can get your eye on the prize. Whatever the prize is for you, you can get your eye on the prize today. Do it. All right. Let's see. So we talked about index funds. It's just a group of funds. A lot of people, I prefer index funds. Do I own any? The only individual fund stock I own is Uber because I used to work for Uber and I got it as, I got the stock when I worked there. I got shares when I worked there. I've never actually purchased an individual fund. I don't believe in it. If you hear me talk about taking Ubers and I don't say taking rideshare, it's because I'm invested in Uber. You see how the evil is already in here? I know it's not a good company. Should I work there? I know it's not a good company. But I'm gonna do my part to prop it up, baby, because that's where the money is. The money makes you make not great decisions. I'll never, and I do say take a lift sometimes, and I do take lifts sometimes, but I'm never like, yes, go take a ride. Also, Uber is a bit like Kleenex. It is the name we know for the thing. But also, if the price of an Uber and the price of a something else in another country are very similar, I'm like, let me take the Uber. Yes, Coffee Brown says, but calls are coming from inside the house. Absolutely. Absolutely. We know what we know when we know it. We do what we can do when we can do it. I'll probably divest one day from the bad companies. I have a list of 70 million things I got to do before then, though. And my brain can only hold so much. All right. Let's see. What haven't I talked about? What kind of investor do you want to be? Do you want to be a very active investor? Do you want to day trade? Do you want to set and forget? Do you want to pick a horse, that one stock, and watch her run just for the fun of it? I can't, I'm not interested in day trading. Personally. For me, that's too many decisions. That's too many decisions. Nicole J. Butler says, I'm swing trading these days. I want to invest in a fund and then come back in a year and be like, so how'd you do, baby? What are you doing? You okay? Do I need to move my money to somewhere else? But there are people who really love the market and want to spend time doing things in it. If that's a you person, get started. Like Stephanie reminded us, Sandra is coming in to Exodus ASAP to talk about trading on not this Thursday, but the next Thursday, which is, I know dates. Dates are my friend. I never know dates. I never know dates. So that I think is the 25th. Yes, the 25th. Sandra will be talking about that. So come through, right? If you want to get started trading. I want to do as little as possible. So I'm an index fund girly. As little as possible for me, please. Nicole says Sandra has been an excellent teacher. Yay. All right, and if you want to join Exodus ASAP, come on, computer, to hear Adelia. So this was our money month. 2 weeks ago, Stephanie and I talked about creating a budget if you live abroad, how to create a detailed, accurate budget that helps you know how much money you're going to need in your live abroad life. Last Thursday, we reviewed budgets, live review of budgets. This week, Adelia is coming in to help you figure out, as you move towards retirement, what changes you should be making to your money. And then on the, I think I said the 25th, Sandra is going to be coming in to talk about how to start day trading. Right? I don't want to know what the stock market's doing every day. I'm trying to think of my relationship with the stock market. It's like a distant cousin. Like, I want her to be doing well, but I don't want her to call me every day. Girl, I wish you the best. But like, tell me about life in 6 months. I don't need you on my phone every day. Because if you're on my phone every day, they're not all positive calls for me, right? That's a lot of work. Distant cousin. That's me in the stock market. How you doing, girl? Good. Yeah, so good to catch up. But not every day. Don't want it. So, Sorry, we're in here being crazy. Don't be coming in here and telling us what to watch on this video for Black women when you're not a Black woman. Don't tell me what to do. Leland Smith says, scalping, day trading, swing trading, especially on the option side, can be very profitable with the right education. Yes, absolutely, for somebody else, right? Yes, this is how people make their money. I love it. It can be a day job for somebody, a side hustle for somebody. Not for me. I will never say that trading isn't profitable. Terry, you know Terry. Terry came to Exodus Summit 2025 and talked about being a profitable day trader. She's made millions. Or profitable trader. I don't know if she calls herself a day trader. It's not for me. Okay. What else is on our list of things? In the beginning, someone said, Ann D. Watson said, I want to start investing, but there's so much misinformation out there. If I was starting today, it sounds counterintuitive, but I promise you it's not. I promise you it's not. If I was getting started investing in the stock market today, I would go to a website for a brokerage house, like Vanguard, like Fidelity, a Schwab. I'm an oldie, so I wouldn't do like a Robinhood or something like that. I'm personally, but I'm old. You do whatever you want. I've been with Vanguard for over 20 years. I'm not saying there's a good reason to do that. I'm not. I'm just saying I haven't, if I haven't divested from funds, I absolutely haven't divested from Vanguard, right? Like the actual brokerage house. I set it and forget it. I'm just there. I would pick one. It does not matter which one you pick. Honestly, I do not like. Vanguard has a fund that tracks the S&P 500. Fidelity is going to have a fund that tracks the S&P 500. It's all, their fees are going to be most likely going to be comparable. I wouldn't spend too much time thinking about it. I would just go to one. I would read. I would not go to a third-party site. I would go to a Vanguard, a Fidelity, one of those. I would read what they say about starting an account, beginning an investment, and then I would follow their instructions for opening an account. The reason I'm telling you not to go to a third-party site is not because I don't think there's good information out there. It's because there is good information out there, but there's also good fraud out there. There's good lies, there's good misinformation out there. And if you don't want misinformation, go to a place that isn't allowed to misinform you. And Vanguard, Fidelity, they're not allowed to lie to you on their sites. Now, what's a lie? What's a little tweak of information? Who knows? But the basics of how to open an account, how to start investing, that is where I would go for that. Right? Especially if I'm not trying to invest in particular stocks or I'm not trying to trade. If you're just like, I just want to get some money in the market, that is what I would do. Fidelity.com, and then read 1 or 2 articles, then follow the instructions on how to open an account. See what the minimum to put in the account is, right? It's going to differ whether you're investing in index funds or ETFs. See what it is, do it. JG says about trading, I try to make 100 to 200 in a day, and I've done that 3 times a week. Absolutely, absolutely. There is money to be made. Them folks is out there making money. There is money to be made. I love it. Okay. Terry Ijeoma, baby. I have emailed her this week, and I also can. Woo! That's where my brain is right now. But we're doing this. We're almost staying in track. Erica Generic TV says, I'm trying to get my 17-year-old to learn how to day trade. And JG says, if you have Charles Schwab, they have learning classes you can take for reading and some vids. There are people out there who are going to be interested in you buying one stock over another, one type of investment over another. And that's why I would say don't just hit Google and search for something and press play, because you don't know what is incentivizing this person to create this content. What I'm saying is these brokerage houses, their real incentive is to get you to open an account with them versus somebody else. And because I don't think there's that much of a difference of opening an account with one person or another, I'm like, just read it and see what you think. Open it up. Instead of waiting 6 more months, right? The girls are all saying you can do well as a day trader. Not a girl. But here were all the girls. Kelly says, I'm liking Fidelity, Marcus, and Schwab. Who you open an account with does nothing for me. It absolutely does not move me at all. Let's see. Nicole J. Butler says, this info is not circulated in our circles for a reason. Once you know, we can't be stopped. I didn't learn until I hit my 40s. Share with your loved ones. It's not difficult once the light bulb is on. I think that we historically, right, have seen, Black people have historically seen their investments taken from them in so many ways, right? Land, banks, everything you built, taken, right? And so it's hard to think of a place where you might invest that could be neutral. And 10 years ago, I would have said the stock market is neutral. Vanguard don't know who you are when you put that money in there. They know who you are, but they're not like, that's a Black, capital B. Well, it'd be lowercase b when they do it. I'm taking that money. But just the other day, that half-dead man said that they're going to start freezing the bank accounts, and I think investment accounts, of people they don't think are in the country legally. And as someone who is a naturalized citizen, I don't like the way that sounds. It don't sound like the stock market is neutral anymore. It does not sound as neutral as I would like it to be. But like I said, we're in a time of uncertainty. I'm just trying to get through to the other side. That was a little short break for a prayer to the Grim Reaper. All right. Okay, Wise Words CK answered the question within the question. When one finds a well-performing fund, is it ill-advised to review the holdings within the funds, but emotion will not supersede the logic of a good fund investment? As a Black woman to a Black woman, if you look at the funds and your emotion takes over, you already know what to do. If you look at the funds and you're like, I don't give a damn. If you look at what's inside the fund, the holdings was inside the fund, and you're like, I don't give a damn, let's go. you know what to do. If you look inside and you're like, they're investing in what? Like, yes, they're performing really well, but they're investing in what? You know what to do, girl. Like, I don't, you know what to do. It's right. Like, if you're like, I don't want my money in, girl, you got it. Let's back up a second. When I talk about performance, when I go look at I typically look at my new funds in Vanguard because that's where I've been investing for a long time. When I am looking at investing in new funds, I look at the entire performance they've done over time. So from inception, and I'll compare a couple of funds at the same time. So I'll select from their list like 3 funds, maybe 5 if I'm feeling froggy. And I'll say, this is what they've done over the last, since inception, which for some funds may be 50 years and for 30, 20 years, and some may be 2 years. So from inception doesn't really tell you that much because you don't know the window. Then I'll see what have they've done over 10 years. I'll see what we've done in 5 years, 3 years, and 1 year, and then year to date. Because some of them are going to be doing gangbusters year to date, right? They're going to be just doing crazy, crazy growth over year to date. But in the past 3 years, it's looking a little negative. The past 10 years, it wasn't that good. I look at all the numbers to figure out what feels good for me based on my risk tolerance, right? Because if something that happened in the last 10 years happens in the next 10 years, how am I going to feel? I look at all those numbers and then I'll say like, okay, of these 3 or 5 funds, this is the one and I'll look at what's inside their holdings. I knock out, most things don't hit the compare list because of what's in the holdings. But once I get there, I know what's in there. I feel good about what they're invested in. I see what their performance is, and then I'll select one. I don't want to spend more than like 90 minutes on that when I'm investing in a new fund. If I got to spend more than 90 minutes, I've lost the plot. My attention is somewhere else. I'm gone, right? That's how I select funds. What are you invested in? Will knock out some things for me. How are you performing? Right? And before I even get to how are you performing, a lot of your, all the brokerage houses are going to tell you the risk tolerance isn't the word they use, but how risky each fund is, right? Vanguard is a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the least risky, 5 being the most risky. I don't really like 1 or 5. Give me a solid 4. I have 1 or 2 5s in there. No 1s. Maybe I have some 4s, I have some 3s, a couple 5s. That's it. I want to, like I said, my goals right now are to invest more outside of the US than I have been doing. My goals are to make sure that I'm not continuing to invest new money in companies that don't align with who I am in this season. And I also want to make sure that I am dollar cost averaging, which means that I am investing a certain amount of money at a specific time period. For me, that I am now an employee of Exodus Coaching LLC. And so every time I get paid, the same day I get paid, money comes out of my paycheck and goes to, I have money going to Vanguard and money going to Fidelity every time I get paid. And it goes into a selected fund every time. One of the other things I consider when I'm looking at funds is the fees. I don't want to pay high fees. There are a couple of accounts I pay high fees on because I think they're worth it. Some of those are the good funds. Index funds, like we talked about, often track a certain part of the market, right? So it is the top 50 companies on this ticker. It's the top 25 over here. It's 100 of this. It's these top technology funds. It's this, it's that, it's whatever. those typically have the lowest fees because all they got to do, they're not changing anything. Like there's no person doing research and figuring stuff out. They're just like, those are performing really well, so we're invested in those. That's it. Um, the ones where they're like, there are no prisons. I invested in one the other day that was like, they're known for treating their employees really well. Like that was part of, it was a fund, but that was part of the consideration. Are they known for treating their employees really well or really poorly? Right? If they treat their employees really, if they're known for treating their employees poorly, they're not in here. They're not in this fund. That fund costs more. The fees are higher because someone is doing the work. At this point in my investment journey, I'm okay with the fees being now probably lower performing and the fees being higher. So it's not great. I'm not going to see 15% off of these. I might see 7. I'm okay with 7. Right? So that's part of it too. Figuring out what you want to invest in. Like those are some of the factors, right? So far we had how they perform, what's included in them, how accessible are they, right? What's the minimum to invest in? ETFs, a lot of index funds have kind of a matching ETF. An ETF, generally you can invest in starting with $1, right? But you're going to go to Schwab and Fidelity, Marcus, Vanguard, and get that information by reading their site. Okay. Those are some of the things I look at. What are the fees? And then as I get to wrapping this up, we're wrapping this up early today. All right. An hour and 45 minutes is early. How are you going to feel when you invest when there's a big market swing? Right now, we're in a time with a lot of big market swings. There's a lot of manipulating the market that's happening, that is leading to big market swings. And when you have these big market swings, what are you going to do and how are you going to weather it? Some people are like, that's it, I'm done. I lost half of it, but I got to take the other half out now. If that's you, you may want to, you need to consider that in your risk tolerance when you're picking funds, right? If you're like, shoot the dice and let it ride, you probably don't need to consider it that much, right? But you need to be true to yourself because if you take your money out every time you lose money, you're just going to lose money in the stock market. Right? If you put 1,000 in and you take out 500 once you've lost 500, now you put in 1,000, now you have 500. If you let it ride for 10 years, 20 years, historic numbers say you're going to have more than 1,000. We are in unprecedented times. So who knows? But historically, that's what would happen. Okay, there's one thing I wanted to show you guys. What I want to show you? Good morning, Mentally Magnificent. Oh, I want to go back to the comments. All right, make sure. Tall Tasty says, I'm struggling with how much to invest in my retirement accounts versus brokerage accounts. Another very personal question. I think it depends on how much money do you want access to before you're allowed tax-free access to your retirement accounts, right? I am comfortable with what I have in my retirement accounts. Where I occasionally have some discomfort is what I have in my brokerage accounts that I can access at any moment, right? I pay taxes on them every year. I can access them at any moment. But I have less money in them. So I have less money that I can access before 59 and a half than I can in my other accounts. So, I got 12 years to go. I want to get more money in the brokerage accounts right now than in the retirement accounts. So that if 2026 is the last Exodus Summit, I can just be like, this was fun, babies. I had a blast. I hope you learned a lot. Goodbye. And then you'll never see me on the internet again. But we need more money in the brokerage account first for me, right? So that's what I consider. How much money do I want to bridge the gap between now and when I'm comfortable accessing my retirement accounts? Okay. Orletta says, I invested in my local utility because I have to pay them anyway. Right? That's not a choice some people are going to make. That's a choice that works for Orletta. I like it. The investments are getting to the money. Listen, the way the gas fund I have has been doing numbers. Why am I invested in oil and gas, baby? I don't know. It was back in the day when I was like, back in the day, I would just stack things up on Vanguard by what was performing the highest and invest in that. Look at the different time frames of performance, and whatever the highest one was, that's the one. Give it to me. I'm not that person anymore. I'm not. No right, no wrong here. Let's see. Leland Smith says, this is a great conversation for Black women, whether you're an investor, trader, or a combination of both. I'm loving the dialogue. Share this with a friend, y'all. Share this with a friend. Let them know. Right? This conversation isn't going to give you all the answers, but it's going to give you something to think about. And I want you guys to think, and I want more of us to be investing for the future. But specifically, I want you to invest for the future you can imagine. For some of you, that's not going to be the stock market. For some of you, you're going to be like, I need to have cash in the mattress. Many people will tell you, but that's not a good idea with the way inflation works. I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to say, if the future you imagine is one where you need cash in the mattress, get you some cash in the mattress. We are in uncertain times. Unprecedented. Who knows what's going to happen? Invest for the life you see coming. That's all we can do. Right? That's all we can do. Invest for the life you see coming. And maybe diversify a bit. Maybe don't have all the money in the mattress, right? Maybe not every penny. But if you want some mattress money, have some mattress money. I like a little cash in the house. All right. Let's see what else we've been talking about. Nadwella B says, new investor besides 401k. Nadwella, I hope you open a brokerage account. Put something in there. Send them some money. Watch what happens, right? The barrier to entry, we already said the barrier to entry is lower than it used to be, because instead of a minimum of $1,000 in an index fund, you can do $1 in ETF, right? The barrier to entry is lower. The barrier for information is also lower, but it's broader, if that makes sense, right? I told you, you can go to Marcus, Schwab, Vanguard, Fidelity, read 1 or 2 articles and have an account open in an hour. But if you hit the Googles and the YouTube and you search for best way to start investing 2026, the breadth of information is going to feel overwhelming. And that's why that's never going to be my advice for you, right? It's never going to be my advice. Just open an account. Just open an account. Find a fund or 2 you're interested in, put some money in there. This is not advice. This is what I would do if I was starting over. Right? I don't want to go to the Googles and have all these people tell me what to do. I don't want to go to the Googles, the YouTubes, The chat. Do not get financial advice from ChatGPT. What do you think they are invested in telling you? What do you think that machine is? That machine is invested in telling you he's going to live forever and be the money-making man forever. Don't do that. I don't think I have to say this to this audience, but don't go to ChatGPT or any other AI for investment advice. It's a machine. It don't know nothing. It's a steal machine. Just go to Fidelity. Go to the site that tells you how to open an account, and then figure out what you want to invest in that account. And that we talked about time horizon, how long do you want the money invested in, performance, risk tolerance, fees, right? Are the goodies or baddies in the holdings? You've got this, right? If I were doing it today, I would set a time. Maybe if I was opening an account, it would be 90 minutes. I'm opening an account. I'm picking one fund I want to put a little bit of money in. That's it. I'm going to spend 90 minutes doing it. Because it's unlikely, unless you are a all or nothing person, it's unlikely that the amount of money you're going to put in today when you open the account is going to be a life-changing amount, that if you put it in the wrong fund, your life is going to collapse, right? If you've never invested before, not advice, if you've never invested before, I wouldn't put in a life-changing amount of money today, right? But the same day I open an account, I wouldn't do that. I put in a little bit and see what happens, right? Get started investing. Silver Spoon Photo says, sold a house and want to immediately get the proceeds to work making money / earning interest. I love house money. I love house money. House money is my favorite kind of money, because now look at you. It's just cash. What do we do with it? What I did with it answers dropping knowledge about questions. I'd like to know how you got liquid cash to do sabbatical and travel the world. I sold a house. I owned a house. It did not sell for, I want to say a year, maybe a year and a half. I had a friend living in it at the time. It didn't sell. I flipped a house. They sold on the same week. The house flip got on the market like a year later, and it sold in like a week, and in the same town. My house sold that same week as well. It was kind of crazy. And I was living in Columbus, Ohio. I had 2 homes that were completely paid off that I got money from. And that wasn't enough money for a down payment on a condo in Oakland. I could not afford the cash from owning 2 homes outright in Ohio. Wasn't enough money for a 20% down payment on a house in Oakland. So, so I had that house money in investments for a while, and then when I wanted to travel the world, I took some of that house money and spent it, changing my life completely. I love house money. House money changed my life. All right. Let's see what I'm missing in the comments. Let's see. Somebody knows something. I plan to grow a business and use the profit to feed my ETFs, which will trickle down to me forever. It's a plan. Not everybody's plan, but this could be your plan. Remember, we talked about investing if you have an investment in yourself, that could be a business, could be a BBL, whatever you want it to be, whatever investment you think is going to lead to greater money to invest. If you want to do that first, no judgment on this side. No judgment. Ooh. Trading stocks teaches us a lot about our character, impulsivity, emotion-based decisions, fear, greed, etc. Yes. Mentally Magnificent said, I have $10,000 in a Charles Schwab account when I left my job last year, and I really want to know how to invest. Crystal, you are a smart, capable woman. I think the difference between you don't know how to invest and you do know how to invest is probably an hour on the computer making choices, just choosing. right? I don't think that you don't know how to invest, right? If you think about investing in a sense, like shopping, you've been shopping your whole life. We have been managing homes, shopping our whole life. You can choose between two or three things, right? You figure out what category of things you want to buy today. You can select between the options. You've been to the grocery store and you've selected cereal. You can choose the stock. It might sound crazy to you, but the more you do it, the more it's going to feel like I picked something out the cereal aisle. Is it the number one choice in every possible category it could be? No, nothing is, right? Is it working for me today? Sure. Great. Is it good? When I eat the cereal, am I going to be full? Yes. Magic. Magic, right? If I were starting over, not advice, I would consider it a bit like going to the grocery store. I actually some cereal. I get in there and I pick a cereal. Right? You can shop. You're just buying something. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to push back on this because most of us don't need a broker to. Most of us are not going to enjoy the process of a broker investing for us because of the fees associated, right? Before you ask someone else to make your money decisions for you, you need to figure out what that's going to cost you, right? Is it someone who's offering a flat fee? If it's not, and they're taking a percentage of your investment, what is the percentage and what's that going to look like? Is it every year they get the same percentage? What's that going to look like for you, right? I think that no one knows your money personality more than you. And so a broker may not be investing as much for you as they are for who they think you are or who they want you to be, right? Investing is basically organized gambling, right? I worked in a casino and dealt blackjack before. This sounds like a much better alternative. I would say that the gambling part, yes and yes, 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 yes. You're making a bet that the stock market is going to do better. It looks more like gambling when you pick an individual stock, right? When you're like, I'm picking this winner, right? What's the roulette, and you pick number Tesla, right? You picked Tesla in the red, and then you see what happens, right? Because historically, the stock market, the whole stock market, all of it, has gone up over time. We're unprecedented times again, but because there's an upward curve, an upward slant to the growth over time, it feels less like gambling and more like a sure thing, but nothing's a sure thing, right? Nothing is. So, yes, gambling, but I'm not a pick an individual stock gambler. Because what you mean, I crapped out. What? Where's my money? So, I don't know. I can't do that. Okay. All right. I think I may have done it for the day. Oh, no. Last on the list, don't forget taxes. Don't forget taxes. If you live in the US and you're invested in the US, and there's some tax consequence to how you invest, right? If you're investing in your employer's 401k, you're going to reduce your tax burden in the current moment. If you're investing in a brokerage account outside of any kind of retirement investments, you're going to probably be paying taxes each year on whatever you've earned for the year. If you move to another country, you got to figure out what that country wants to know about your investments and how they will tax you, if they will tax you, right? There's a chance, like with all money, right? With any money that flows to you, if you're a US citizen living abroad, there's a chance on this planet, and the chance number isn't zero, right? There's a possibility, and the possibility isn't zero, that someone's gonna get taxed here and abroad. Are you that person? Are you in that country? I don't know. Maybe I don't give tax advice. So I watch for that. Lady Sarita says it's time for you to, Wolford says, V. Wolford, it's time for you to hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. I hope this was helpful for you. I try to stay focused, but you know how it goes. Make sure you know what you're investing for. You have a specific goal. It's easier to put money aside when you have a specific goal. I want my retirement to be lavish. Where's the caviar? LeSean, I need somebody roasting the pig in the ground in my villa, right? That's what I want in my retirement. And for that, I'm still investing. So make sure you are, if you can identify your goals, a specific goal, a specific lifestyle, a specific thing you want to do, it makes all of this easier, right? Go get information from good sources, solid sources, not me. I'm just talking. I'm just a girl talking on the internet. Get you over to a brokerage house that has real information. Don't trust the AI's information. Don't just go to Google and say they look like they know what they're talking about. Don't do that. I love you guys much, and I will talk to you soon. Next week, Sean, the Queen of DC, is coming, and we're going to talk about living in Southeast Asia, which a lot of people do by day trading. But we'll talk about other stuff. Okay, all right. Thanks, guys. We'll talk soon. Community, I'll drop a link, and we'll meet on Zoom at about 1:15 Eastern time. Bye, guys. Thanks, everybody.